Hi everyone, and welcome back to the garden. It feels like autumn has really taken hold this week. There's a definite chill in the air. The leaves are turning beautiful shades of gold and brown, and there's a sense that things are winding down. But that doesn't mean there's nothing to do. In fact, there are still plenty of jobs to tackle in the garden before winter truly sets in. So today, I'm continuing to get some more work done and grapple with a few gardening dilemmas along the way. First up, I'm potting on these little seedlings. Now, these aren't just any seedlings. These were a bit of an impulse buy, if I'm honest. I was ordering some garlic and spring flowering bulbs online, getting prepared for next year's planting. And this company had one of those tempting offers. Spend so much and you get something else at a much lower price. Now I can never resist a bargain, especially when it comes to plants. So, of course, I added them to my basket. I'm not even entirely sure what they all are yet. They're all perennials. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? A little bit of mystery in the garden. As you can see, these seedlings are already looking strong and healthy, but they need to be potted on pretty much as soon as you get them. I'm using these module trays, which are great because they allow each seedling to develop its own strong root system without getting tangled up with its neighbours. I'm also using a lovely light and airy compost mix, store-bought with added perlite and some blood, fish and bone, which will be perfect for these young plants. There we go. I'll quickly label them up, and now these seedlings have plenty of space to grow strong and healthy over the winter months, ready for planting out next year. I'm really excited to see how they turn out. I think they're going to be a beautiful addition to the garden. And all thanks to a garlic-induced impulse buy. Next job, it's time to tackle this empty bed in the polytunnel. I've cleared out my tomato plants and refreshed the compost in another video. But as you can see, there are already a few weeds and tomato seedlings popping up. It never ends, does it? Weeding is one of those jobs that's never particularly exciting, but it can be quite therapeutic if done little and often. And it's so important, as the weeds like to compete with your crops for water and nutrients. Plus, they can sometimes also harbour pests and diseases, so I like to keep on top of them and get them out before they get too established. Now, for these brassicas. They're growing quite well, but I've noticed a few things that need attention. Firstly, some of the lower leaves are looking a bit yellow and chewed. This is probably due to slugs and snails, which have been a bit of a problem throughout this year. I'm going to remove these lower leaves for a few reasons. Firstly, it helps to improve air circulation around the plants, which reduces the risk of fungal diseases. Secondly, it makes it a bit harder for slugs and snails to reach the healthy leaves. And finally, it encourages the plants to put their energy into growing upwards, not outwards, which is what we want from our cabbages and cauliflowers. I'll also go through these container brassicas as well. And of course, the chickens are always happy to get the removed leaves as a tasty snack. It's definitely getting late in the season for tomatoes. But here's a bush I haven't even looked at this year. I just planted it outside to see how it would do. There's a surprising amount of fruit on these plants. As you can see, I've got a mix of ripe and unripe tomatoes. These ripe ones are good for eating fresh. They might not look great, but there's nothing quite like the taste of a tomato straight from the vine. But what about these green ones? Well, I've got a few ideas for those too. I might try frying some. Or I suppose I could make some green tomato chutney, which is delicious with cheese and crackers. One for Christmas tea. My pumpkins haven't ripened as well as I'd hoped this year. The foliage has died back early and the pumpkins are still quite green, but I'm not giving up on them just yet. I'm going to harvest them and bring them inside, and hopefully they'll continue to ripen in a warm, sunny spot. Maybe I can put them in a paper bag with a banana as well, just like the tomatoes. It's worth a try. Now, I need your help. There's a couple of decisions and dilemmas I'm facing this week. First, I want to save seeds from these French beans, but the wet weather is making it tricky. They need to dry out completely before I can harvest them, but I'm sure they will rot if I leave them on the vine much longer. I'm also keen to get this bed cleared and prepped for next year. I'd like to get the garden all tidied up and winter ready as soon as possible. But I just know these beans aren't ready yet. They're far too green and nowhere near dry enough. So, I'm turning to you, my gardening gurus, for advice. Should I leave the beans on the vine and hope for the best? Or should I pick them now and maybe try to dry them inside? Please, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And another decision I need to make is whether to train this grapevine now or wait until it's dormant. Some people say it's best to train it now while the branches are still pliable, but others say it's safer to wait until winter. We are heading into November. I just don't want to risk damaging it by doing anything too heavy-handed when I don't need to. I'm really not sure what to do. I'd like to know what my audience thinks. Is it too early to train my grapevine, or is now the perfect time? If you have any experience with training grapevines, especially in the UK, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Any and all advice will be welcome. Whatever I decide, this grapevine has already exceeded my expectations. It's grown so much, even in its first full year in the ground. I can't wait to start enjoying some delicious grapes within the next couple of seasons. These nasturtiums are my nemesis. This is the third time I've weeded this patch this month. They're just so prolific as they self-seed. They are lovely and useful in the garden, but I need to make room to make way for my new strawberry patch. The good thing is, they're really easy to pull out, especially with this lovely loose no-dig soil. It's almost therapeutic, just gently plucking them out of the ground. They might look innocent now, but trust me, if I left them, they'd be everywhere by next spring. So it's best to stay on top of them. There we go, much better. Now this patch isn't going to stay empty for long. Remember those strawberry plants I dug up in a previous video? Well, this is where they're going. I've got a few different varieties here, a few of each with different fruiting timings, and I'm really looking forward to getting them in the ground. This spot gets a decent amount of sun, and the soil is nice and free draining, thanks to all the organic matter from the no-dig system, which is perfect for strawberries. I'm spacing them about 7 or 8 inches apart. This should give them plenty of room to grow and spread. I'm also making sure the crown of each plant is level with the soil surface, not buried too deep or sitting too high. It's important to prevent the crown from rotting. There we go. Quite dense, but hopefully these strawberries will establish themselves well over the winter and reward me with an ongoing bumper crop of delicious fruit next year. I can almost taste those juicy strawberries now. It's good to get another job ticked off the list, and it's always exciting to plant something new, even at this time of year. Well, that's it for this week's gardening update. It's amazing how much there is to do, even as we head towards winter, and there's still lots more to get on top of. I hope you've enjoyed pottering around with me today and maybe even picked up a few ideas for your own garden. But before you go, don't forget to let me know your thoughts on those gardening dilemmas. Head down to the comments and tell me, should I pick those French beans now and try to dry them indoors, or leave them on the vine and hope for the best? And when do you think I should train my grapevine? Now, or wait until later in the season? I'm really keen to hear your advice, and I'm sure other gardeners will find it helpful too. Let's share our knowledge and help each other out. A huge thank you to everyone who's watching. It means the world to me that you're taking the time to join me on my gardening journey. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more gardening adventures. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again for watching, and happy gardening everyone!